Hey everybody, Phil Kohler from Polygon here. I'm here with Brett Elston, the community manager for Capcom, and Ray Jimenez, the producer of Mega Man Legacy Collection.
How you doing?
Doing great. So, I love me some Mega Man games.
As do we.
What does this collection have for me in terms of Mega Man games? Do you have any? Are there any Mega Man games in this collection?
We have more than one and less than 7. So
perfect.
Yeah. So
that seems like the right amount for me.
So this is a Mega Man Legacy Collection. It's going to be Mega Man 1 through 6. It's concentrating solely on the 8-bit games, the original 8-bit games.
Yeah.
And this is really going to be our attempt to bring back the original version of the game. There have been other versions out there. There are other venues and ways of playing Mega Man now, but none of them play exactly right as the NES version did. So working with a developer, Digital Eclipse, in Emeryville, whose sole purpose in life is to restore games back to the original.
It seems like they're very passionate about this.
Absolutely, like not just in the games, and that they're interested in video games as our historical legacy in general as a culture. So their idea is to authentically replicate the original games themselves. So our goal is to bring in Mega Man 1 through 6 from the NES days. And have it play exactly as you remember it. Now the games themselves will look sharper because the way the technology works, we're re-outputting them in 1080, but they're still pure 8-bit sprites. They're just clean now.
And are there like filters you can put over them? Like some sort of because that's always the stuff I like messing around with in collections like this too. Is like, how can I take this beautiful 1080p version of the game and make it look like the janky crappy version I remember playing on like an SDTV.
There's two filters. They're called TV and monitor.
Oh, perfect.
And TV, I think, is the one that's my favorite. We both have our favorites, which is good. But TV is like, it really looks like an old arcade game that's been in a pizza joint for years, and this monitor really needs to go. Where the boundaries of the sprites are fuzzy. It looks like there's actual gas burning inside the TV.
Sure.
It's a sensation you haven't had in a long time because of HD TVs.
So notice you started off with Mega Man 4 here. Is this a personal favorite, right?
Just because we tend to do a lot of Mega Man 2.
Sure.
Or the first one. I just picked this one simply because...
I will say, I controversially, I think Mega Man 3 is a better game than Mega Man 2.
I hear that a lot. Mega Man. I think the soundtrack for 3 actually might even be better too.
Burning alive inside.
Brett, you don't seem to agree.
No. I think there's definitely an argument to make because 2 and 3 are both so good, and 3 just adds more to the formula that worked. And then after that, it's iterating on what 3 did.
Totally.
I think that argument is there, but I deny it, and I just stick with 2.
I am also one of those people who, a lot of people like the further that we got with Mega Man in terms of the NES Mega Man games. The more of them that they put out, the more a lot of people are like, they get less and less that I'm interested in. But I think 4, 5, and 6 all have their own merits, and they're all good games in their own right.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's part of this. What I hope this collection does is revive that exact conversation.
Yeah.
Because even as a kid, when 4 came out, I was like, well, I played 1 through 3, and I would rent 4, rent 5, and then 6. I think most North American folks just totally missed 6 completely.
It was late, right? It was
really
very late in the NES cycle.
It was late in the NES cycle. Published by Nintendo back in the day. It was missed because the 16-bit era was already in full swing by the time 6 came out.
Sure.
But each of them just have these little nuances. 5 as a kid, I didn't really think anything of it, and then the more I play a 5, I'm actually, I think Gravity Man stage is one of the best.
Totally.
The music is really underrated, and I think some of the set pieces, the backgrounds and the sprite art, is really nice.
The blur.
I did
it. Look at that blur.
It's real good.
I did it again. I turned off the lights.
Sprite Man is it's like a twist on Shadow Man level, only now it makes sense for there to be lights instead of a magma-filled sewer of Shadow Man's stage. And 4 is also interesting for introducing it introduces the chargeable Mega Buster.
Yes, that's right.
It glows more of a green, and then the actual projectile is a sprite that's only used in 4.
Only used in 4. Interesting.
I guess this is
So one of the things that I think is worth mentioning here is that in addition to just being a collection you know, that has all of the games, which is something that we've seen a lot of, not from Mega Man necessarily, but just in general, a lot of collections of games. But what I think interests me about this this collection is that it is a historical collection.
Yeah.
It is not just a collection of the games, but it includes, you know, all sorts of bonus stuff. I'm curious to like talk about that or like look into that or whatever.
Yeah, sorry, since I can navigate the menu, I'll take you to. So you have the database in the museum here. The database itself goes through all the characters that you fight against in the game. We provide art, as well as if you look on the left side, you see that their hit points and their attack points, and interesting enough, what they're weak against. This becomes really handy when you're trying to do a speed run, because then you can just kind of blast through them without having to waste buster shots on them. Also,
well, I love too how, like, you know, this is all information that like you know, game facts and hardcore fans have always put together for years, but having it presented in this really clear, beautiful way is such a cool thing.
What's really cool is that the text, you know, also have some pointers, not only about where these enemies came from, because like they're robots that went haywire, so they actually have a purpose in life. Like this guy was a mobile light bulb to make, you know, to make paths safer. But you know, also the tips on how to fight against them, especially when you get to the robot masters. It kind of like this guy here, take him out with the charge shot. Although that may seem really but there's some pretty cool information here. And also this text came from the Rockman collection that was released only for the PS1 in Japan, so we actually never localized this for the US. Getting to the bosses, where the information on the lower left, like what they're weak against, really comes in handy.
Now hold on, what was the what was the purpose of this robot? That doesn't seem like a robot that had any sort of.
This was to feed Wily's ego.
Oh, okay.
And
that's an important
to like
important
make sure everyone
job.
knows how good he is at designing skull robots.
Oh, I know I can defeat Pharaoh Man. So what's really cool is here you see Pharaoh Man. You see he's weak against the. I know it stops time, but I don't know what the name of it is.
Flash Stopper?
Flash Stopper.
That sounds right to me.
But what's really cool is it's like instead of having to play the whole game to get to him, to figure out how to figure out his pattern and to try this out, I can hit the X button, jump right into a fight, and I can test that out. So
you really see the shimmering of the tube TV, like, I don't know, in the background. You can see,
I will go to the Flash Stopper, or Bright Stopper. I just need to stand on level with him.
Yeah,
there you go. I'll move back so you can see what's going on. But basically, I'm shooting him, time stops. This is like his secret thing.
Yeah.
That's why I knew I could defeat him. I will just use the turbo shot.
Man, this is a single item laser almost.
Yeah, when I get that close. But it's still the same thing as the original game. You can only have 3 shots on the screen.
Sure.
So I was just so close. It looked like one gigantic shot. So that's a really cool feature that we're able to do. We're still able to keep our tenet of being authentic while doing this, because we're not changing the game itself, we're just changing the way you access the game.
Yeah, and it's something that's a side thing, right? It's like if you want to just go in and play the games as they exist without ever using that database, you can do so.
Yeah. The hope is that people who either haven't played in like a decade or more, or have maybe never played, can have like an easy way to like, well, I want to test the boss and not like get wrecked every time I get in the room.
Wow, I love this art stuff. I was checking this out at Comic-Con, and I just think this is so cool. And I also love how high-res it is. Like,
how huge.
Yeah, like you can really zoom. Like that's the thing is like you don't realize when you're first scrolling through it, but like when I realized that you can actually select this and really zoom in and like look at every detail. That's such a cool thing.
Yeah, especially when you get to some of the pencil sketches and you can actually see like the paper texture on some of these.
Yeah. And then those are unique for all 6. So all 6 games have their own museum and their own database.
Yeah.
Can we look at? I think in Mega Man 2, there's a list of like unused bosses.
Actually, this was for Mega Man 3. There was much more. So these are like these are the boss sketches.
There were some good ones that we saw at Comic-Con.
Borgman or Elephant Borgman.
Smoke Man. And
Smoke Man. Smoke Man is my favorite.
Vacuum Man. Plasma.
And some of them you'll see like what Vacuum Man, that's not quite what Dust Man is, but you see the concept of like, well, something that like
Yeah, absolutely.
it both sucks and blows.
Was that an unused enemy that was just a pistol with legs?
Yeah.
There we go.
I love that.
We didn't translate this, but I hear there's a lot of really cool information in Japanese here.
Sure.
So, and the Mega Buster, one of our Japanese readers was like, yeah, this is really cool information if you could find a way to display it. Someone out there will translate it for us.
It's mostly katakana, so you can...
Yeah. Well, you still have to be able to read katakana.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's should like a enterprising fan.
Yeah.
Right?
So
and you get these ads. Too.
Really cool, like,
yeah.
and like you can really see like the scan quality here. This is actually down-resed from what the original scan was, but when the developer actually had gone out and found these ads, the actual magazines and museums and stuff, and scanned them.
Well, and this is what I want to ask, like all this information, all these like sketches and all this stuff, like where did you guys even dig all of this up? Like, how did you find all of this?
So some of it was like manual looking, like so Digital Eclipse, as we talked about, that they're really into the preservation, so they have a lot of connections with museums and such. So they actually went out to these places, these game museums and collectors, and did a lot of legwork and scanning them. And a lot of them Capcom provided. You know, we do have a lot of this stuff, believe it or not, in high res. So I was very surprised that we even had them. So. It's really a cool treat, and you know, having over 1,000 pieces in the museum alone through all 6 games, it's a lot of content you're getting just in addition to the game, which really contextualizes.
And here's something
games themselves.
I'm interested about, because I've played some other you know, sort of retro game collections recently that have had a lot of like archival content that's really cool, but in some cases you have to go and you have to like sort of unlock it. You have to you know, play through the game or you know, get certain achievements or what have you to unlock it.
Right.
For the museum stuff in here, is that the case here? Like, do you need to unlock stuff, or is it all just there?
No, it's all just going to be unlocked for you from the beginning.
Cool.
The idea is you want everyone to see it. Like it.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't like Mega Man 6 for whatever reason. You don't want to have to make you.
Maybe you're wrong. That's right. Maybe you're wrong about Mega Man 6.
Just to get through it. I mean, I like Mega Man 5. That's my favorite of the series here. But yeah, the idea was that we want everyone to be able to see everything up front.
Cool.
The only thing we do have behind that you do have to unlock are the challenges here.
Sure.
And then you just have to. You don't have to get a gold medal, but you have to get a certain amount just to unlock the next set of challenges.
Oh, sure.
We actually found that when you're presented with just 50 challenges ahead in front of you, you're like, where do I start? What do I do?
So this is challenges now are a completely new thing where it's taking elements of the games and sort of remixing them in some way, or like mashing them up, or like doing something new. Right,
or we'll thematically create a challenge for you that's based around a theme. So one of the cool ones are towards the bottom. So we have like all appearing blocks. You don't have any items, which means you don't have any of the rush jets, none of that. You have to get through it all. A robot rush. A lot of robot rushes, the Dr. Wily challenges, but most of them will be taking select parts of Mega Man 1 through 6 and kind of mashing it up either through just 2 or 1 through 3.
And was this stuff created like by you guys, or was it created by sorry, I forget the name of the company now.
Digital Eclipse.
By Digital Eclipse?
Yeah. Oh, so they created all the challenges.
That's amazing. Themselves. So they actually like went back and they didn't just figure out the way to present these games, but actually creating stuff with those assets. And
right. And I mean, they're huge fans of the games themselves too. So I'm sure a lot of them have kind of had their own ideas of what challenges they would want to do. So, I mean, they were all for it. This was like something that they totally wanted to do too. So I'm doing a Mega Man 2, I think, boss rush.
Yeah.
This is all it's all time attack, you know, as suggested by the timer on the bottom.
And I saw that there are 3 different like medals that you can get. Is that just based off of the time?
Yeah. That's just for kind of more for bragging rights and the chats for achievements and trophies. But what's really cool is that you know, you'll be able to save a local replay, but as well as a local replay, the top 100 or so in times on the leaderboards will have the replay there, so you can just, if you wanted to see how, like, you know, Super Speedrunner Joe gets past it you just can watch his replay. And
I love that guy.
Super Speedrunner Joe was
Follow him on Twitch.
incredible at Summer Games Done Quick.
and what's really cool, I mean, we do have some bona fide speedrunners in the office,
Sure.
in QA that do this, is seeing how that, because we actually give you all the weapons for most of these challenges, and just seeing how fast they can actually, I did it, I made that jump. I was gonna say I've actually made that jump before, and there we go. Of seeing what weapons they use to get through what areas, and it's really cool seeing all the cool little tricks that they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to kind of go through a level so you kind of see like
oh yeah, of course.
The cool tricks that I picked up from watching people play this. This is one of the short ones. But and I know I'm not the absolute best at it, so I'm sure if someone watching
you don't need to be humble. You can
I'm
admit that you're the absolute best.
Well, I mean, it's like someone's gonna watch. It's like, oh, I could use Magna Beam right there to get up, but.
Listen, we're putting this on YouTube. There's going to be so many comments that are like, "This person's no good.
Yeah.
I could do so much better." That's just the nature of YouTube.
Yeah. Like that jump.
Yeah, I can do that, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Also, just for people who are on YouTube watching this and who are thinking that, just be thankful that I don't have the controller, because this would be real embarrassing right now.
Yeah. A lot of it is, as we've taken the game around and shown folks, a lot of it is, it's like riding a bike, because you have a lot of childhood memories, and like you'll watch someone pick it up and like just eat it for like several sessions, and then by the time we leave, it's like, okay, the muscle memory's coming back, the general mind frame of like, okay, this is how Mega Man behaves, and this is how, frankly, most of the 80s and 90s 8-bit games challenged you.
No, 100%. Yeah, that's how it was with me, certainly with Mega Man 9 and 10 when those came out as well. It was very, very, very difficult at first, and then as I sort of like played more of it and was like, oh yeah, this is how this game works.
Yeah, you start remembering little tricks, and you're like, I remember what you're gonna do here.
This is really cool.
I forget Mega Man
such
when
a
you
cool
drop
thing.
You drop like a rock.
Fast.
You drop like a rock in Mega Man when it.
Well, what some of these challenges do is, like, for experienced players who would normally just tear through the game, the core games, it's fun because of how fast and suddenly it'll shift you from. Okay, so normally I'm thinking I'm in Fireman stage. The next thing is the rest of Fireman stage, and then bam, now I'm in Wily 2, and you're like, okay, now I remember this sequence. It's like retraining your brain to remember all these Mega Man sequences, but out of order.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also, you said there's 50 challenges?
Yeah,
over 50 actually.
Over 50.
Just over 50.
Yeah, and that is, again, like as you said, for people who are really big Mega Man fans who are maybe just gonna like blow right through this stuff, it's cool to like have that extra like here's something for you to really spend your time on and sink your teeth into. And I assume some of these are going to be, judging by the ones you were scrolling past, some of them look very difficult, so some stuff that's not gonna, you're probably not gonna finish, you know, the day you take the game home.
And even like that the one at the bottom, the all robot master rush, like that's 46 bosses, and even if you did them all in 1 minute, that's still 46 minutes. Like you gotta do the whole thing.
Also, you're not gonna do those all in 1 minute.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm
not.
Most people won't. I mean, a lot of them are definitely sub a minute. Like if you know the weakness and like but in that one, I think it's just a Buster run, right? Like
there's some are Buster runs, and there's the items and no items ones. So
no items. That's gonna take a minute.
I think the last one that you scrolled past to the very end was all bosses or all robot masters, no items. So I was like, that seems like it'll take a little bit of time.
It's like this is an interesting case where you get the jet sled from beating Airman, so you normally wouldn't even have that option. Yeah. So the challenge here is like, well, now you have these things available to you that you didn't have. So even someone who has maybe ran the game or is super familiar with it can like rethink. Okay, well for this challenge, I have different tools available. And I can beat a time that normally would, not necessarily be possible.
You wouldn't have Woodman on Woodman.
Yeah. And Friender does not like it.
Is that his name?
That is his name.
Friender, or back in the day, his name was Hot Dog.
I think I prefer Hot Dog. I mean, I like both of them. Those are both just good names.
They're both like, no, we gotta change Friender. Nobody's like, going to localize this. Hot Dog.
I'm not calling an enemy Friender.
Maybe it's supposed to be Fiender.
Yeah, maybe. So do you guys, you know, looking at this not just as a collection of the old Mega Man games, but as you know, what it means for the Mega Man series. You know, obviously you guys aren't talking about any future games at the moment or announcing anything, but do you guys see this as, or have hope that this could like revitalize the series a little bit?
Well, so everyone at Capcom still really loves Mega Man. So the rumor people say that Capcom hates Mega Man, that's absolutely not true. I mean, it's always been about.
I know for a fact that Brett does not hate Mega Man. I can confirm.
It's always been about, you know, just the right team and the right game coming together.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, I mean, we have a product schedule that we want to work on. So, I mean, as far as I told you, Crashing works really great though. There's not really much more we can say other than that. You know,
totally.
No one wants to see a Mega Man game more than Capcom. It's just absolutely true.
Absolutely. So I've got the controller now, so we're gonna really see.
Oh man, the Mecha Dragon is a great.
It's Craig's challenge.
It's a great troll, by the way.
I'm gonna try Craig's challenge.
All right. Yeah.
So do you want the history of Craig's challenge?
So yeah, actually, that's named by after Craig over at Screw Attack.
Oh sure.
Yeah, we talked to him early because they just finished it as the Screw Attack gaming convention that goes on every summer in July. I had worked with him before on DuckTales, and I really liked that game being there. So we talked to him, like, hey, can we have this game, the challenge mode, in your event? And we worked together, found a way. And I was like, hey, you want to design your own challenge? So this is the challenge that he designed for that show itself, for that event. And they had actually picked someone from random to play it, and to be honest, he was quite terrible at it. It took him 4 minutes to get past Proto Man. And the first guy didn't finish it. So the second guy eventually did, which goes to a testament of how good, how well it was designed. And it's actually the guys at Digital Eclipse have, you know, admits, like, you know, this is one of the better challenges we have. You did a really good job of picking something.
Sure.
So now this being Mega Man 5, it's not just slide, it's a charge, and Gravity Man stuff's all. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I turned the borders on. Like, if you're not familiar about inherently which Mega Man game you're in, the borders will help you figure out. So now in Mega Man 2, I don't have a slide, I don't have a charge.
It's interesting, like, so I hadn't even thought about this as you were playing, but like having these go between the different Mega Man games is such an interesting like twist on it too, because that like just, as you're saying here, it changes what your abilities are, it changes what you're able to do.
Right.
Yeah, it just really messes with, like, I consider myself someone who, like, you can drop me at any point in any of the 6 games and I'll know what to do, but, like, when you just start bouncing around that quick, it's like, you have that split second of, like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And there's some great, like, moments where, like, when you see Quickman's beams come up, you have about 1 second to go, which thing then? And
yep.
It's just fun to, like...
Oh! Nice. So you don't have to charge... Start over, so that's pretty forgiving.
Since it's a time attack, it'll let you try again. You don't get bumped back out.
I like that.
This is one of my favorite sequences. Just
oh my gosh!
Like, those projectiles are like always on the screen, like always following you for that whole thing.
Yeah.
I love the. Oh god, get out of here!
You really like Brightman. I know you like Brightman because the first time you looked at this game internally, you're like, what should we play? And you're like, play Brightman.
Yeah, it's just fun. I think it's one of the more like.
There you go.
Exciting stages.
Alright, so now we're in Mega Man 1, is that
Mega
right?
Man 1.
Oh my gosh.
So to help you out there, because this is a very hard part.
Yeah, I remember this part.
Hit options and go. Not the, sorry, hit the option, the tiny option button. Yeah, go to M. You want the Magna Beam. And then hits options again. Yeah, it's weird. People didn't use the start button for that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, after you jump on the conveyor and you get to the edge, you can then use the Magna Beam and just kind of skip.
Yeah, shoot it now. Shoot it. Hold it, and then jump on it.
And then
shoot it again. Jump it.
Oh no.
Oh, you have to let go before you jump, though.
Before I jump, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the quick way around that, or else you would have to manage a very difficult part of the game.
And then outside of.
Oh, you don't have it.
Oh,
yeah,
whoops.
It's like.
That's all right.
And then you normally need Gutsman's weapon to get the Magna Beam in Electman's stage, so typically you wouldn't even have this ability. So
I was gonna say, I remember doing this the regular way.
The way it was meant. But for the purposes of getting a good time, it is okay to use the Magna Beam.
So which is really cool, and people are... Flame actually would be really good for that section. Is going through ways... as we mentioned before, you can... Speedrunners will have the opportunity to try to go through the game in ways that they've never had to do before.
This might be something that's like too crazy or too impossible to do. But are there any spots of like you're playing with Mega Man 2's abilities, but you have a power from like Mega Man 3 or something like that?
No. That would kind of go against our trend of making everything authentic. This is what we're talking about.
A little bit.
You're ready.
It's and it'll just sneak up and like, oh, this is this mishmash, and then you'll play it, and you'll get like a minute in and get all settled. Like, I know what I'm doing, and then eventually it does like time out. Like they'll give you like we'll give you 9 minutes, and then if you haven't done it in 9 minutes.
If I haven't done it in 9 minutes, I'll let you guys get out of here. But if I do complete it in 9 minutes, you have to stay and let me play the rest of the games.
I don't think we can leave until you finish this.
I'm getting worse. I'm doing worse at it than I was.
This is the slump. Like you get further, and then you get the slump, and then you get the breakthrough. That's how this always works. Good placement. And then all the way to the right. This could be.
Oh, no! That was the end right there. That was the end of that part.
I mean, like in a lot of ways, in my heart, I really beat it.
Yeah.
I think that's what's important.
You got to the screen, so.
Right, you had the way you described it, like as like going back to riding a bicycle, right? Like it really. That's a good way of describing it because it's definitely like. Just doing that challenge, I'm already starting to like regain that muscle memory of like, oh yeah, this is like the feel of jumping and like this is the way that Mega Man feels in the air in this game versus in this game.
And there's like slight nuances, like one feels slightly different from the rest, and you just kind of like start remembering it all.
Oh right, I forgot to talk about this.
Original.
Oh wow.
So what was the official?
So this actually isn't just a make it smaller. So what we're doing is we're preserving the original NES aspect ratio.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And what we're doing, I mean, the other one is the same aspect ratio, but what we're doing is we're taking the original size, which is 240p from the NES, and then multiplying that by 4 to fit a 1080 screen and even values. And we're rendering it at that exact resolution. The result is that this actually looks a little bit cleaner than the full version because this is it's kind of an even number of rounding the pixels up. So
sure, absolutely.
So there's no blurring, there's no nothing. There's actually, while I like this, if you're really sensitive, there is a slight amount of blurring because we are having to stretch to fit the vertical, even though the aspect ratio is exactly the same. So the aspect ratio is the same, but this is actually more pixel clean.
Sure.
And it would be very, very hard to notice unless you're like super into it. And the guys at Digital Eclipse are. They can only really play with this because this is how it feels so much more natural to them. And we went through a whole discussion on. And even though the Nintendo version was 240p, you could actually only see 226 pixels on an old CRT TV due to overscan, and it's like how many pixels are we going to show? So this actually came up as pretty interesting in QA. The guys in Japan who were looking at it play on, and we don't really have those anymore here. Those flat panel CRT TVs, and they could actually display more. And they're like, well, why can you see more on this old NES game on the CRT TV? It's like, well, because they actually the old TVs would overscan and show more content, or wouldn't show all the content, and as a result, sometimes there was a lot of junk going on off screen. So what we're actually showing here is the NES lovers, aficionados agreement is that 226 is the official viewable screen size of a 240p picture. And
wow, that's that's super interesting how much thought and research went into that.
Yeah, and then
and that shows how much like the Digital Eclipse guys must really care about this stuff, because it's the kind of thing that like the average gamer's never even gonna think about that.
Yeah, and in Japan, Japan.
For me, I'm just like, oh, this looks pretty.
Yeah, they asked me that question. I was like, oh, dude, I don't know why this is happening. And he came up with this really long email. I was like, this is the simplest way I can explain it. And I was like, wow, that was a really long email, but that. And and then Japan was like, you know what? You're right. This is not an issue. This is
cool.
Authentic. So I think they can really appreciate, Japan as being the guys who authentically created the game. They're like, well, this is a really good attention to detail that the team is putting into the title. That they want to make sure everything looks accurate to what someone would have seen before.
So if a collection like this does really well, you gotta imagine, Capcom has Mega Man's incredible. Capcom also has lots of other classic 8-bit franchises. Is that something that you guys would be considering looking into potentially doing collections as well?
No, I mean, when we started this, I mean, the first question was like, which games do we want to do? And the obvious answer was Mega Man.
Sure.
Everyone, gamers love Mega Man. It makes sense to package them together. So we have absolutely gone through every whiteboard discussion of what games can we do.
Sure.
So we've settled on Mega Man as being the obvious choice that we're going to go to now, and where we go from there just really remains to be seen. It's just
I mean, that's
it's on our minds. What's really cool is interesting is on the left side, and I'm pretty sure you noticed it before, is that there's a black vertical bar, and initially folks were like, oh, that's a bug. You need to fix the border and center it, and it's actually, that is how the game displayed. Overscan on an old TV, you never would have noticed that because that would have been cut off by the side of a TV. If you look at folks playing on an emulator, you'll actually see that. I think it's 3 through 6 are like that. That for some reason there is an actual that they don't draw on the full left side of the screen. It's just how the original games were. And it was like, it would be easy enough to kind of fix it using the frames and the borders and such, but we talked about that. It's like, does that go against our tenet of being authentic?
That's
are we taking the good for the bad and the bad for the good? And it's like, yeah, we're gonna take everything as how
keeping it how it was.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, I did notice that as well, and was kind of wondering like, oh, is that a bug or is that just like? I actually had assumed, based off of everything you said so far, I was like, that's probably just how it's supposed to be.
That is actually how it displayed. And it just depended on the TV you had if you would actually see it or not. Because some TVs, the amount of overscan that they actually did varied widely from TV to TV.
Absolutely.
But when you played on a more, like one of the last generation CRTs that was very constant, like you would have seen that black bar. So yeah, Mega Man 1 doesn't have that. It draws all the way to the edge.
Going back to a classic here.
Yeah.
This is the one, like, I found myself playing this one more, because, like, there was a brief moment in time where this was the only one.
Yeah.
I remember renting it over and over, and eventually, like, reading in Nintendo Power, there's going to be a 2. So, like, I don't know, I set this special place in my heart for this one, because for 1987, 88 is probably when I actually played it, but this was so, like, advanced and interesting and colorful compared to a lot of other stuff that was going on at a time when the NES was like really hitting its stride. Even
it's funny too because I played so much Mega Man, but I don't think I ever actually owned a Mega Man game. I just rented them, and I rented them constantly. So we had like a local video store that had that rotated through the whole selection of them. I think. I remember renting everyone except for 6. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Bombman's a good character to start with Mega Man 1 because his AI is basically like, if you are close to me, I'm going to jump and not throw a bomb. So if you can get, well, man, now he's just like jumping the whole length of the screen. But sometimes you can get him in a point where they're just like, like that. But at the very end, you can really get him in a he'll hop over you and you just turn around.
This is something that I kind of weirdly miss about classic games too. I mean, you still see it in modern games, but a lot of the talk with modern games is like, oh, AI, like let's make the AI as realistic and as human as possible. But I kind of miss the classic days of like learn the pattern,
the exploits,
learn what works, and then do a really good job of it. You still get that with some games, but not enough these days.
Actually, within the challenge modes, and I don't think I've ever talked about this yet, is because only I can say this because we're finally in the game, is that we found some exploits and the challenges of getting through them, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to fix them. I like that the fact that there are like little things that a gamer can figure out in order to, not just within the game, but a way to break something and add it. So there are some challenges actually have a way to cheat them and get through things faster. I wanted to leave that kind of thing in there, and it's just it's a nod to the old gameplay. It's like, oh, I found this cool secret. So beyond the actual old Mega Man tricks, there are some new tricks in the challenges that people will be able to figure out as a way to use to get through the game as fast as they can, or the challenges as fast as they can.
Yeah. Before you blast through the rest of Mega Man, we don't want to completely spoil the epic storyline and the twists and turns that happen later on in Mega Man. Whoa! I said we don't want to spoil. But thank you guys so much for stopping by and showing this off. I think this is a really cool collection. I'm very much looking forward to playing more. When are people going to be able to pick this up, and what platforms is it coming to?
Cool. Yeah, it'll be on PS4, Xbox One, and PC on August 25th, and then coming in later for 3DS and as well as physical SKUs.
Awesome.
$14.99.
Awesome. Great.
And the digital games.
That's wonderful. Thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Thank you.